Hello and welcome to Vejer de la Frontera, the home of the 28th Sunshine Tour. With 7 weeks of competition in 2022, offering 7 four-star level qualifying Grand Prix for the World Championships, over 40 world ranking classes and over 2 million in prize money, it's a destination event for many of the world's best at the beginning of each season. But this huge showground and circuit also allows the development of the equine superstars of the future with a popular developmental international young horse series. The lure of the circuit is the weather, and we couldn't ask for better. Competition in week 3 culminated in the 4-star Equine America Grand Prix on the David Broom Arena. The course for this Meter 55 specification Grand Prix is set by well-respected French Level 4 course designer Grégory Baudot. As we join the competition, there are just 2 clears so far, Pierre-Alain Mottier and Leopold Van Asten over this 4-star Meter 55 Grand Prix course. Yuri Mansour, who of course represented Brazil at last summer's Tokyo Olympic Games, gets us underway. Yuri with Humberto Ask. It's a horse that gave him a very good result in one of the speed classes in the Longines Global Champions Tour event at Samarin in Slovakia this year. As you can see, part of Grégory Baudot's course here, out on the turf, is the open water. And that's very important, I think, for a lot of these riders who will be going to some of the big Nations Cups in Europe this year, the likes of La Bourse, St. Gallen, Dublin, Hickstead, that have the big open water, of course, as part of that critical team competition. Few riders caught out by the time allowed earlier on as well. And of course, in 2022, the time penalty rule has been changed, so it's 1 for 1 now, rather than as it used to be 1 for each period of 4 seconds over. So it starts to become very, very important that you are moving at the right pace, 375 meters a minute in this 4-star Meter 55 Grand Prix. Very nicely through the triple combination, just 1 left to go. The time looks okay. So Yuri Mansour, oh, he's just inside, in fact, 78.48, but he gives us our 3rd clear round going through to the jump off, and we're set up actually for a very good jump off already. And even if it is just a spring event, it's so important that the standard be maintained, and that's where using the designers that the Sunshine Tour does. I mean, we've had Louis Connix here, Grégory Baudot this week. You get the standard maintained, and the riders have to achieve that standard. If they want to enter Meter 55 4-star Grand Prix and get those Longines World Ranking points that are on offer, they have to earn them. That's been a tricky fence, that Sunshine Tour as well, with just a little light plank on top. So Yuri and Humberto become clear round number 3. Leopold Van Asten and Pierre-Alain Mottier, as we mentioned earlier on, they are our clears to date. And here now the young Swiss man, Alain Juffert with Dante. Alain, who now rides out of Steve Gerdat's yard, has been a World Cup qualifier winner at Budapest in recent seasons, and prior to that on the Morocco Royal Tour. Riding the Diorado 11-year-old Dante. He actually had a Grand Prix win here at Vejer last autumn with another of his horses, Cornet. Been a Nations Cup rider for Switzerland at the likes of Spruce Meadows, and also just pushing onto that water, jumps it nicely. Also been top 5 in the St. Gallen Nations Cup Grand Prix. Making that roll back to the wall, jumps it nicely. Pretty short there between 7 and 8 before they then just take a dogleg down to those silver poles. We actually saw in a couple of the Grand Prix last year how those silver poles really do come alive in the brighter sunshine that we get some weekends here at the Tour. Such a shame, close to home. It is a tricky distance. It's just not been riding perfectly down from 11 to 12. They've really got to come down there with a plan and manage their plan. And as is often the case, if you're not quite right going into the triple combination, you get caught on the way out as well. So suddenly, from being a very, very nice and well-judged clear round, Alain Juffers disintegrates into being an 8-fault round. Plenty of the bogey fences, but the triple combination has exerted its influence on this class, no doubt about it. So still just 3 clears as we welcome forward another for Switzerland. Actually, he used to be based in the same yard as Alain Juffers before he moved to Steve Goetz. This is Aurelia Loser. This is her first Grand Prix of the 2022 Sunshine Tour. She had a very good show with her horses indoors at Geneva. Also been a Nations Cup rider for Switzerland, is on the winning team a few seasons ago, also on that Morocco Royal Tour. And Aurelia and this horse, Anna Hayes, have had some good results at the 5-star level at the Swiss Nations Cup show, St. Gallen, and also, as we mentioned, indoors in Geneva. She's riding quite conscious of the time, so obviously just feels this horse maybe just a little bit smaller, has a little bit of a smaller stride. So she wants to just try and be on the inside line, not going out deep on some of these rollback turns. And there are quite a few of them where the riders just need to be quite conscious of that. They can be lured out wide. And this grass arena, though, just does stand up impeccably. There's plenty of arenas here, of course, at Veher for the Sunshine Tour for them to use, so they can always maintain this. And that light plank, it just takes absolutely nothing. Six strides leaves her quite a long way off that first vertical, but actually curls up nicely over the B element and comes out still just on the 4 as they come to the Equine America last. And the time is very, very good, actually, 75.38 for Aurelia Loser. But with the 4 faults, she'll finish outside our top 10 as things currently stand. Quite a few still to go in this big Tour Grand Prix this weekend. You just see Aurelia really arrived attacking this course, and actually the turn into this suspension bridge fence early on was where we really started to notice that she was just riding at great pace. But she knows her horse very, very well. Obviously that's the way for them, but unfortunately just maybe a touch flat there. The horse just couldn't quite finish behind and ended up with that light plank coming down. Ezequiel Andres Ferro Menendez and Shepmen for Argentina. Quite a few Nations Cup appearances for Ezequiel in the last year. He rode at Gola Minore in Italy and at Villamora in Portugal. He's been partnered with this horse since December 2019, and they were top 10 together in the Nations Cup Grand Prix at Prague last year. This is their second week riding Grand Prix here at the Sunshine Tour. Horse just takes a look at that water, but they're all just riding nicely at it. And I think Baudot has set it up in a very friendly way. You know, the specification, been lucky enough to see some of the Division 2 as they used to be, and of course the 5-star Division 1 Nations Cups over the years. And you can set up the water in a way that it can be very, very influential on a course, or in a way that it can actually just come up very, very sweetly for the horses. And at this time of the year, it's good to have the open water. It's good to get the horses the experience. And Gregory is achieving his effect elsewhere in areas of the course that the riders should be more prepared for, and allowing them the water as an experience jump. And I think that's very, very sensible course designing for this time of year, whilst maintaining the top designer's attitude that the specification is the specification. Ah, look at that. Very nice round of jumping, but just not prompt enough. He is going to be another one caught out with the single time fault. Ezequiel Andres Ferro Menendez and Chepmen will have to sit out the jump off. He ranks 5th at the moment behind our 4 clear round qualifiers. Very little done wrong by this combination, of course, as you know, they've jumped everything clear and it's not an easy track. But 375 meters a minute, we were mentioning, it's such a big grass arena, it has these rollback turns, it's so easy to just get lured a bit deep into a turn. ESI Toulouse is the ride for Cameron Hanley. Cameron, who's been on Irish teams at championships and some of the biggest shows in the world, like Aachen, Rotterdam, Spruce Meadows, Hickstead, Dublin. He actually lost 6 months of competition last year after an injury in the spring. But he has been top 10 with this horse in both of the first 2 weeks of the Sunshine Tour Grand Prix Series. And he missed the jump off in week 2 by a single time fault. So having just seen that from Ezekiel and 1 or 2 others, he'll be very much on his mettle today, just trying to keep on the front foot all the way around. This combination we're here for the Nations Cup show last autumn as well, when they finished top 10 in the Nations Cup Grand Prix. SIEC Livello, the sire of Toulouse. And clearly, with their experience, very, very comfortable in this ring. A few results would do Cam no harm either. Having missed those 6 months last year, he'll have tumbled down the world rankings a little bit. Coming to the triple combination, we've seen clears to here. Makes a big effort through all the parts here. This horse really just works through his body when he jumps. But it is clear. 78.42, it is not a million miles inside the time, but it is inside enough. Cameron Hanley and ESI Toulouse give us our latest clear round, and clear round number 4 it is. So shaping up to not be the biggest jump off we've ever had here at the Sunshine Tour, but real quality, with Yuri Mansour and Cameron Hanley joining in the last few rounds of jumping. Let's see who else can join them in that jump off as the first round of the Sunshine Tour Grand Prix continues. Welcome back to the Sunshine Tour. At the moment, we have 4 qualified for the jump off in this Equine America Grand Prix here at the conclusion of week 3. Japanese 6-time Olympian Taizo Sugatani. Actually, as a 6-time athlete, he was the leader in Olympic appearances for Japan across every single sport. His 6th appearance was only just matched by another Japanese athlete at the Tokyo Games last summer. Taizo with Quincy. Just hear them give that rail a little bit of a tap on the suspension bridge coming up to the water. And that can quite often be the case. It stays, but just horses, as they start to see the water, they start to concentrate on it and think about it. This horse was Taizo's 5-star horse at the Nations Cup shows of Rome and Rotterdam last year. He had a rail, but he'd been lucky elsewhere. I mean, that light plank to stay after that clunk. Cherry Blossom and the Flamingos, unfortunately, comes down. Middle part of the triple combination as well. This is turning into a big score, unfortunately, for Japanese Olympian Taizo Sugatani. Time 76.71 is okay, 79 seconds, remember the time allowed, and we've seen a few caught out by that. But 3 on the floor, unfortunately. Going to really relegate Taizo down the order here. Lucky there, because that plank really moved. It's an opportunity to just see those bamboo rails come down. It was just flicked a toe on that Equine America back rail as well. For Italy, Riccardo Paesani. Riccardo with Chaclotte. Checo Blue, as you'd expect, the sire of this one. This has been a fantastic servant to Riccardo over the last few seasons. They were double clear for Italy at the Nations Cup finals in Barcelona in 2018. This was also his horse for the 2019 European Championships in Rotterdam. And when Italy had that high time on the Division 1 of Nations Cup for a couple of seasons, Riccardo and this horse got the opportunity to compete at some of the world's best Nations Cup shows, CSIOs. This is actually their second Grand Prix week here during the 2022 Sunshine Tour. I think at this stage of the competition, we've seen more than half of the starting field. You know, they really are starting to understand the lines they need to take. And the wonderful thing, sometimes in a grass arena, you maybe have no choice about the line you have to take. It's very clear where everyone else has gone, but maybe the weather is against you and you don't want to be in that piece of ground because it's going to really affect your ability to jump. But you know, this arena is just in great condition. Now, we haven't seen that happen too often, but it is a few blocks out of the wall. So Riccardo won't be part of our jump-off field, and he makes doubly sure of it, triply sure of it, by having both parts down in there at the double 9AB. Could be argued just brightened up a little bit as well. And those silver poles will have a greater impact all the time. Should be pleased with how the horse jumped through that triple combination. He's probably thrown away the time in his planning a little bit earlier on, just wanting to try and get the horse jumping well towards the end of the round. So he takes faults and time for a total of 14 there, Riccardo Paesani and Chaclot. Yeah, vastly experienced horse, but after the bricks came out here, I don't know whether Riccardo himself just changed something and got a little bit stressed about it, but you know, the wheels fell off the wagon for a moment or two in the middle of the round before they put it all back together. Well, two-time Olympian during the period when she rode for Ukraine, Katarina Offel, back for Germany now. Career winner on the Longines Global Champions Tour. Career winner of the prestigious Hermès Grand Prix in Paris. Katarina with Hurst DB by Emerald. Combination jumped some good four-star classes last year. The shows at Centaur and also the shows in the south of France at Grimaud. Just seems to be, you know, pressing the horse a little bit onto the jumps. Hurst just always seems to want that moment or two extra to look, and Katarina, vastly experienced, knows that there's no time. She's made a good turn there. I feel she's inside a few of the others. Hurst doesn't have the most comfortable jumps, but gets well up in the air over that wall. It's quite an interesting wall as well. I mean, there is a lot for the horses to look at and consider as our silver Longines poles go once again. So Katarina is ruled out of our jump-off. But can she stay in for a little bit of the prize purse with a decent four-fault round? It's not going to be terribly slow. 8 faults, though, is going to be far too much. As the vertical two strides, vertical B element of triple combination comes down. So Katarina, 77-71, she was pretty prompt, but with 8 faults with Hurst, goes outside our top 20 as things currently stand. Just difficult to judge. You feel maybe she just got a little bit snug up into the front, and perhaps the same thing happening to her during the triple combination as well. Well, an Olympic gold medalist from the French team at Rio, Pénélope Leprevaux. Pénélope with Texas by Tornesch, of course, H&M Tornesch, wonderful horse in the past for Malin Barriard-Johnson. Pénélope took this horse Texas to ride in the supporting classes at the Nations Cup finals last year, and also the 5-star Nations Cup show at St. Gallen. And they're being very consistent here during the Sunshine Tour. This is week 3 and their 3rd Grand Prix appearance together. Penelope, she already had her head and eyes over towards this Cadiz suspension bridge as she jumped the preceding fence. She just has that level of confidence in the horse and, of course, in her own ability. She just didn't come into that super well balanced. You could see how she changed once or twice on the approach. Just caught that coming up and going down front and back rail, but it stayed in place. So she's still on 4, now on 8. I was just about to say that Penelope knows the numbers. She will have calculated that if she can put the pressure on, be quite fast on 4, there's a decent reward for that. But there is very little reward, unfortunately, for 12 faults and still the triple combination to go. You know, when you see a triple combination late on in the course like this, it's kind of a test of the horse's mental and physical fitness, the rider's mental and physical fitness as well, just to answer that question late on a big track like this. So it ends up being inside the time, but 4 down, 16 faults for Penelope Le Prévost and Texas. So far from the round she would have wanted. There's the moment we talked about as she jumps the horseware fence. She was already looking around to the suspension bridge. I have to say, one of the pleasing things about today is how well the horses are jumping the open water. That was 2 in quick succession, the Longines Silver Rail and the wee plank down. Joel Valles Rosell and Krypton SC next to go, the Spanish rider who was on the podium in the 2-star tour at Longines Global Champions Tour Madrid a couple of seasons ago. Joel has an enviable reputation in speed classes, nearly 50 speed class international wins. This is Joel's first Grand Prix of the Tour for 2022. And Joel's horse here, Krypton, you just see this head shake. It's just a little bit of a question of rideability. Again, you know, we see these horses every so often at the major Grand Prix. Joel sees and rides this horse every single day. It might just be the way he goes and they've worked out a routine together, but it just makes you feel that when it comes to real precision riding, he might just not have the horse he wants. And there, the horse was not concentrating at all out of the turn, taken completely by surprise by the wall, very genuine to take it on, but then still not quite ready for the fence which followed. Just cast that one coming out of the triple combination line as well. It tots up to 16 jumping faults so far, just inside the time. Not the round he was looking for, of course, and 16 faults down in 35th best at the moment. Joel Valles Rosell are 44th to jump in this EQUINE America Grand Prix. So problems coming, still just 4 qualified for the jump off. We'll rejoin the action from round 1 in just a few moments' time. Welcome back, just a few more to go in this first round of show jumping. We currently have 4 clear rounds coming back for the jump off in this meter 55 EQUINE America 4-star Grand Prix, of course designed by Gregory Baudot of France. Well, Norwegian Nations Cup rider Johan Sebastian Gulliksen next to go. Johan Sebastian, ridden any number of youth appearances for his country, called up then for the senior team at the Rotterdam Europeans in 2019. The same year he also won the Grand Prix at Drammen, his home Nations Cup show. Rode alongside sister Victoria and Olympian father Geir at the Div 2 Nations Cup finals in Athens, which Norway won in 2019. Exit of Ice is the horse. It's fun to see the sponsors returning year after year, the likes of Suzuki, Horseware, Equine America, here to the Sunshine Tour. That early rail, the cherry blossom rail down for Johann Sebastian, and although there's only 4 in the jump off, 4 can leave you quite a way down with the time penalties that have come in for a few people. Exit of Ice just hops across that wide water, no problem at all. You see, that's a moment, a little bit of pressure going on to the arena there, but that's a moment where they really have to keep the pace up around the turn. If they let the pace drop off on that turn, that's where you can get in trouble. We've seen most of our clears have been up there towards the time allowed of 79 seconds. It's certainly not a giveaway. He certainly hasn't, you know, as I think some designers might have thought to do early in the year, just added a couple of seconds, because with 1 for 1 in the time penalties now, the time allowed becomes absolutely critical, and time penalties can really throw a class's results up in the air, much more so than under the old 1 for 4 system. And there you see, 78.98, only 200ths inside the time allowed for Johann Sebastian Gulliksen. 2 down on the way around, unfortunately, for the young Norwegian Nations Cup rider. It's a shame to just have that early rail. We're just not focused in quite enough this early stage of the season. This little light plank as well. The Sunshine Tour has gone so often. Good few people have been quite lucky there, but unfortunately the luck wasn't on the side of Johann Sebastian Gulliksen. Karim El Zogby, Egyptian Olympian at the Rio Games. That was his 3rd time at the Olympic level for his country. Karim owns and rides Gallos. Had several 5-star appearances together, including a top 5 finish in the meter 55 speed class at Piazza di Siena, the Rome Nations Cup show last year. Karim, who was in action for the Egyptians in Nations Cup Series in Prague in recent seasons. He's won some very impressive Grand Prix, the likes of the Nations Cup Grand Prix at Elaine in the Middle East, the likes also of the meter 60 Grand Prix at Dinard in France. Jump that Horseware and loop around now, back to the suspension bridge. By Team Nijhoff stallion Spartacus. Another one to have the wall down. We've seen 3 or 4 in this latter half of the class just take the bricks away from that wall. Just a little bit forward. You could see that Karim, after he came out of the double, he really balanced the horse on a point, took a big half fault. Unfortunately, just still didn't get the spot he needed for that little plank. So they're on 12 faults as they come to this not inconsiderable final line, including the triple combination. And the back rail goes off the oxer as well. It's 2 strides, 1 strides, vertical, vertical, oxer, that triple combination. And time as well. So 16 jumping faults, 1 for time for Karim El Zogby and Gallos for Egypt. You just see even there over the first fence how the horse maybe just didn't have his focus fully on his job today, just throwing the head, having a look around. And it kind of was okay in the early stages of the course, but then when Bodo had really just cranked up the pressure later on in the track, it came back to haunt them. Marcel Marshall next to go. Extra Strong is Marcel's ride by the recently late and much lamented Diamant de Semilly. Marcel, who won a good jump-off class at the Nations Cup show at St. Gallen a few seasons ago. This was his Grand Prix horse at Ascona last year, and had a Grand Prix win and a podium at Olivar here in Spain last winter. Marcel's one of the young riders in the sport to have benefited from the Young Riders Academy. Just feels the need to push a little bit at that water. And Bordeaux hasn't set the fences either side of the water on such a difficult or short distance that you can't ride the water in a completely different way. Just took one of the top coping stones with him out of that wall. What I was saying was you can ride what you need at the water without it affecting the jumps either end of that line. He's left enough time and space for you to kind of change your plan, ride something different at the water, and then change back. This is going to be a real shame. This horse is jumping so well. If they just took that little bit of a flyer at the wall and that's their only problem, that'll be incredibly disappointing. And that's all it will be. 78.76, a quarter of a second inside the time allowed. You can see it is very tight, but Marcel Marshall and Extra Strong just towards the bottom of the top 20 with 4 faults in 78. Here you can see he jumps that fence, but then takes the opportunity to just push on at that. He probably did the right thing, actually, because they didn't give it a huge amount of space on the backside. Yeah, and in a way, it's because the horse, I think, just read the whole question at the last minute. Having that view of the wall there is very interesting for us because we haven't had that view very many times. So you can see that there is the gap underneath. And I think the horse was just looking through that and then got surprised by the top of the wall. Kevin Gonzalez de Zarates Fernandez and Contagos Rouge. No great surprises in the breeding of this one by Contagos out of a mare by Papillon Rouge. Kevin and this horse won a good Grand Prix in Barcelona in December and also at Gijón in Spain last summer. They were Nations Cup riders for Spain together in the 2020 season at Vilamora in Portugal. A lot of the riders were very pleased to have the opportunity to do some Nations Cup jumping here at Vejer. In the autumn of last year, we'd lost again a good bit of the competition schedule, be it between EHV1 and also COVID last year, so lacking those team jumping opportunities. So it was great that the organising committee here at Vejer stepped in to put one on. Very quick and neat behind. Really just make sure of everything. Little bit forward, just gone on to the forehand, a touch as they came into the triple combination, unfortunately. It's going to be one of our faster 4-faulters, 77 seconds on the clock. 17th position there for Kevin Gonzalez de Zarates Fernandez and Contagos Rouge. Really is tough out there today. Still just 4 clear rounds, but as soon as you have a time penalty, as soon as you have a rail, you find yourself tumbling down the order. See here how maybe the exuberance behind just left the horse that little bit deep into the distance, that little bit on the forehand. There wasn't a lot they could do over the middle part of that triple combination, and all those verticals, -55, he's not giving anything away on his verticals, that is for sure. Pedro Vinícius, another Brazilian Olympian in our field. Pan Am team gold medalist, winner of the Geneva Grand Prix. He's won 5-star Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows. He's been on the podium at the Aachen Grand Prix. Pedro with Nimrod de Muse by Nabab Derev. Pedro's spent a lot of time towards the top of the world rankings, currently sitting just outside the world's top 100. That's relatively unusual for Pedro. It's very, very interesting the way he's positioned that wall as well. We've been talking so much about the rollback turn, and then to have that wall, you know, quite an interesting wall from the perspective of the riders, for the horses taking it in, and the riders are having to consider that balancing act because they'd like to be as tight as possible on that turn and just take the wall in their stride, but they know they have to just go out that little bit wider for some horses and let them read it for a moment before they jump it. This is looking good at the moment. 79 seconds time allowed. He's cleared the Equine America. He just knows he has to push on a little bit towards home. It's 0.1 of a second inside, but it is enough. Pedro Vinícius and Nimrod de Muse qualify through to the jump off. Clear round number 5 gives us 2 for Brazil in the jump off here. And there is only 1 rider remaining in the first round. So we will have 5 for sure, maybe 6 in the jump off of this Equine America Grand Prix. A very, very well judged round from one of the world's top riders. Always a pleasure to watch Pedro Vinícius. And you see here, I mean, he rode off the last fence as if it was a jump off, because they just know that if you've taken a moment or two here or there, you are very, very tight for time. So last to go, Steve Godard, Venard de Cerisy, his Tokyo Olympic horse, winner of a 5-star Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows, the Nations Cup Grand Prix at St. Gallen. Steve, who won the Sunshine Tour Finale Grand Prix in 2012 with Nino de Buissonnet before they went on to become Olympic champions. This time last year when we were watching Steve here at the Sunshine Tour, he was world number 1 at the moment, world number 19, but in essence, we haven't had as many shows in Europe as you would hope. Again, we still just have those couple of indoor cancellations which have lost riders so consistent at the 5-star level like Steve their opportunity to top up their world ranking points. Venard, he just didn't have the activity coming through that turn. He didn't have a lot of power coming to the wall. Again, the genuineness of the partnership meant that the horse said, "I'll do what you ask, boss," and took on the wall. But they just weren't able to make a great shape out of it. And unfortunately, the plank goes down as well. You can see as much maybe making a little brrr, just steady, listen to me. It's also just blowing through the lips there from Steve Godard. He's like, oh, this is a tough day at the office. Time as well, 8 for jumping, 1 for time for Steve Godard. So we will have a jump off of 5 here in the Equine America Grand Prix as Steve Godard and Venard de Cerisy will rank 30th out of the 50 starters. So a tough go. It just shows the quality of this Grand Prix and the quality of the 5 who are qualified for the jump-off over the short course to come. Don't go too far away. We'll have all the action from the finale of this Equine America Grand Prix. So welcome back to the Sunshine Tour. Here is the shape of things. We've got these 5 qualified for the jump-off to come. Michael Graver and Fioletta was one of those caught out by the time, the fastest of them, just 7/100ths over Gregory Baudot's 79 seconds time allowed. Sarah Vengralkova, Victoria Gullikson, we saw her brother Johann Sebastian in the class as well, Angelique Van Essen. Sanne Thijssen with that incredibly fast 4-4 Sanne, who's been a Grand Prix winner during the Tour already, just edging out Gudrun Petit for fastest 4-4. Harry Allen, the young Irish star, he also had the unlucky one, as did Ellen Whittaker. Kevin Gonzalez de Zarate Fernandez also on 4 faults. Quite a few on 4. Is actually going to go to just outside the top 20, including very good German rider Laura Klapphacker there with EQUINE. Thibaut Keller is the best on 8 faults. Got Katharina Offel there, who we saw in the second half of the draw. Johann Sebastian Gulliksen, Julio Martinengo Marque, and Scuderia Milanovicente Dice Otto Claristo. Kaiser Sugatani, who we saw as well. Lots of nations represented in this Equine America Big Tour Grand Prix. It's meter 55 standard this weekend. Just catching up with the rest of the results, the likes of David Kenic and Naomi, Caramel Zogby, and it was 46 that ended up taking the rankings. 4 eliminated or retired on course. So as we go into the jump-off then, they come back in the order in which they qualified, and it's Pierre-Alain Mottier from early in the draw who first got the opportunity to come back for this jump-off. Pierre-Alain, who jumped 5-star in Rome at Piazza di Siena. He was top 10 in the Grand Prix at Lausanne a couple of years ago as well. A French silver medalist at the Mediterranean Games. And with this horse, Pierre-Alain was double clear in the Nations Cup at Morocco and also rode in the Nations Cup at Drammen. So just winding up a little bit. They're going to start with the one remaining element of the triple combination, push on to the Equine America here, what was the last. And now they'll turn across the ring for number 8. Longines double, 9AB. 20 seconds as he comes out of the double there. Here comes the new fence. Tower Bridge. And this is the final line, pushing on from number 2 to another new fence on course. The last it goes. The olive, so it's 4 faults. It's 39.61 for Pierre-Alain Mottier and Just Do It. We continue with Leopold van Asten, Dutch Olympian, ranked inside the world's top 100 at the moment. Leopold with VDL Group Miss Untouchable, a very good horse for him. Leopold won the big 5-star Grand Prix at Sertogenbosch a couple of seasons ago and has picked up victories on the Longines Global Champions Tour and been to Nations Cup finals and World Cup finals for the Netherlands in the past. So we're looking for our first clear out of our 5 in the jump-off. But I do think that Pierre-Alain Mottier had set a pretty good standard, so we're going to keep an eye on that 20 seconds coming out of the Longines double. This is a good turn back here. Of course, very, very experienced horse and rider combination. 18 seconds coming out. We've seen the official split. He was up on that as well. Just really traveling nicely as well. Miss Untouchable. Just about to say, usually would jump a course like this well out of her stride, no problem at all. But she has 4 faults. Leopold van Asten on 4 on the way home. A little shake of the head from Leopold. 36.43. Considerably faster, but again with 4 faults. A very, very prompt round of jumping. I think it's going to be a competitive time, but unfortunately just catching that front rail behind of the early fence, what was fence 2 on the original track. So we waited a while for our third qualifier. It came in the shape of Yuri Mansour and Humberto. A horse with quite a few speed class successes, so can they translate that into jump-off success here this afternoon? Yuri, who won the King George at Hickstead a few seasons ago, he knows how to win a big class. You might have thought he was just starting a little bit conservative, and the time would suggest that maybe he is against Leopold van Asten, but he does land and move. And at the moment, he's leaving them all standing, which is going to be to his credit, of course. On the way home. To be the first clear round, not the fastest, but he is clear. 39.67 for Yuri Mansour. And that sets the standard as number 3 of just 5 in the jump-off. He's guaranteed a podium thanks to a double clear. You see, he actually was showing really great adjustability from this horse, because when he did want to move up, he did, but he was jumping quite conservatively within himself the rest of the time to try and make sure of every rail on this track. Our next qualifier from the first round, just taking a look at the new jump there. Across the arena at number 15, metre 55 vertical. Cameron Hanley, ESI Toulouse. Brazil on the podium, with Yuri Mansour. Pedro Vinícius still to come for Brazil. The only man who can stop a Brazilian victory now is this one, Cameron Hanley. Pace looks okay. He's not massively on the front foot, but I think he's just carrying a good, consistent foot speed all the way. 19-20 seconds there out of the double, so it is nip and tuck with Yuri Mansour. And the door remains open. If you can go the pace of Leopold van Asten and leave them all standing, you've got this class in a hack canter. On his way home to go into the lead, does he? He's clear. He's just behind, 40.21, so a guaranteed a Brazilian victory. Will it be Yuri Mansour? Will it be Pedro Vinícius? A good challenge there from Cameron Hanley and ESI Toulouse. He'll be pleased with that. But of course, he'd love to be one place in front at the moment with just one remaining. But as it is, still guaranteed a podium finish today in this big 4-star Longines World Ranking Equine America Grand Prix. So Yuri Mansour is our leader, 39.67. Then it's Cameron Hanley, Leopold van Asten, and Pierre-Alain Mottier, both with 4 falls. But look at that time, 36.43 from Leopold van Asten. It was a great, great challenge. If he'd managed to leave them all standing, it would be very, very difficult for him to be beaten. Just almost at the end of the first round draw, Pedro Vinícius gave us our 5th and final clear round. Out of 50 starters, let's not forget. Really showing, you know, as we mentioned a couple of times, Gregory Baudot's commitment to the specification. What do you do if you're Pedro Vinícius? How fast do you go? You would suggest that with, from his teammate Yuri, 39 seconds or so to beat. It's relatively easy. He's 1 second up at the official split. Have it about the same, 18 or 19 seconds as he comes through out of the Longines double. Gets a good spot here on the turn back. Has he got this? If he's got this, he does. He's probably got the whole class. It's close. It's just 3/4 of a second, but it's enough. 38.91 for victory for the last to go in the jump-off, Pedro Vinícius and Nimrod Demus. A Brazilian 1-2 today in the Equine America Grand Prix, but it is Pedro Vinícius who takes the ultimate spoils. I'd say pretty well judged. I think he knew exactly what he had to do. He didn't dare go an inch faster than he needed to, because this is a light course, it's a delicate course, it's up to spec. And we saw how Leopold van Asten was just punished a little bit by going so very, very fast, as he had to that early in the draw. Well, great scenes as Pedro Vinícius takes success in this big four-star Grand Prix early on in the Sunshine Tour. Following in the footsteps of this year's winners, Sanne Thijssen, who was so incredibly fast with 4 faults in the first round. Steve Gerdad, who's taken a victory this season as well. Now week 3 goes to Pedro Vinícius. And an opportunity for title sponsors Equine America to congratulate their winner here in the David Broom Arena at the conclusion of week 3. Very, very loyal sponsors. Great to have them as part of the Sunshine Tour.
Hola.
Hi, I'm Pedro Vinícius, winner of the Equine America Grand Prix. I'm very happy to win the Sunshine Tour Grand Prix. My horse jumped incredibly well in this 4-star Grand Prix, his first 4-star Grand Prix. It was a difficult Grand Prix. It's what you'd expect from Gregory Baudot. And I'm very happy with how I rode. I just want to thank the whole team here for their incredible work. Well, fantastic victory for Pedro Vinícius at the conclusion of week 3 here at the Andalusia Sunshine Tour. We'll be back for more action as the tour continues. Join us then.